Okay, so we're live here. Welcome everybody that's watching in right now. Hopefully, we'll get a lot more guests during the next hour. Um, I'm Ami Baran, Secretary General of the European Softball Federation, Softball Europe as we call it today. We are inviting you here today because we're starting our first edition of what we call our Softball Europe Live. We will be doing this hopefully twice a week. Today we're doing it on Tuesday, and the next one will be on Saturday. And it's going to be something that we hope that'll be really, good for everybody during these times with the coronavirus around Europe and around the world. And today we're really going to try and push this forward so that we can move it with players from around the world, coaches, and today we are going to, of course, start with one of our top people from the European Softball Federation. So for today, our guest, he's been for 35 years already been in softball. He started his career as orienteering. He wasn't just always in softball. He was a manager for the Eagles Club in the Czech Republic for 13 years. Been a ESF member of the board and today president, 15 years already within the ESF and devoting a lot of his time to developing softball throughout the Czech Republic and throughout Europe. And so for today, I'd like to welcome the president of the European Softball Federation, Mr. Gabriel Waage, as we call him, Gaba. Good evening, Gaba. Can you hear us?
Yes, I do. Hello.
Welcome, Gaba. So we had a little bit of difficulty for the first time, and now we're ready to go.
Okay, perfect. I'm ready for. Good evening,
okay,
everyone.
Gaba. So how you doing today?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Good. Thank you.
All right. So I don't know if you heard, I gave the introduction that you've been in softball for more than 35 years, involved with the ESF for more than 15 years. It's like you've been all over for a long time and many years. And like I said, we're going to have a lot of questions for you tonight. So is there anything you'd like to start off with saying at the beginning, or do you want to go straight to the questions?
Well, I'm happy that I didn't hear that, what you're talking about me. So that's, but I'm ready to answer to any questions. So feel free to go.
Okay, so everybody, first thing that I am going to say is that we're going to go through this whole evening, and you will be able to ask questions online directly, so I'll be able to see them when they're coming up with our person who's inside at the studio where he's working from, and we'll be able to see them coming up. And we do have questions that people already sent in through the internet in the past few days. So Gaba, we are going to have a killer question or / prediction that we're going to go, and at the end of the interview, you're going to give us your answer. And the killer question or prediction will be, will the Tokyo Olympics really take place in 2021? What's your opinion? People, you can also write your opinions, and we'll be able to see what everybody's saying. Will the Tokyo Olympics take place in 2021? All right, so, Gaba, the corona situation. The major competitions have been postponed. There's a lack of visibility, a hard time for players and clubs and coaches now. So how do you think the corona situation has affected European softball? And I do want to mention baseball because you are the co-president of the WBSC Europe, and I think it's appropriate that you answer for all of Europe.
Well, definitely it was affected. All of the community, all the sports, including softball and baseball, of course. When, frankly, I didn't believe that can happen like happened because I was in the beginning of March. I was in New Zealand in the World Championship. So now when I came back to Europe, it happened. So definitely, now we are in the beginning of May, which is the usual time when the competitions in the all national federations are already running. And then what we are seeing right now, nothing is run. Everything is stopped. We will be happy that some competitions in the national federations will start on end of May or mostly June, July. But some of countries like South countries, they have the big problem like France, Spain. So that's definitely affected, and whole year is very, very special this year. It's very challenging.
Right. So what? Just following up with that, what has Softball Europe been doing in the current situation? What's been happening with Softball Europe? How's the board been acting? How's everything else been happening?
Well, when we understood the whole situation and when we predicted that the national competitions will be restarted later on, like I said before, in mostly June, July, So we immediately in the beginning of April we have canceled the all club competitions European. Just we wanted to give the national federations the appropriate time to realize to play their own domestic competitions as much as possible. So I do hope that they will use this time to make it. So it was number one. Number two, we understood that the hope of the players, it's almost destroyed. I mean, to be on the field. So including with marketing and media department of WBS Europe, we established some broadcasting of the past events, baseball, softball together. So we dedicated some special day, for example, Day of Ireland, Day of Israel, Day of Italy, Day of Netherlands, and all day was broadcasted. Were broadcasted the movies from the past events, softball, baseball together. So that was one. The reason was to keep the players warm, and also to give them the proud to see them in the national jersey. You know, that's the important thing mainly this time. And of course, we moved to online, like everybody. We moved to online. So it means that coaching European Softball Coaching Association did some exercise what we can do at home. So we instructed our umpires to make some online some, let me say, not testing but online discussion about something which is not discussed over the whole year. You know, for example, the game management, just special things like that. So we are doing like that.
Right. Sounds pretty good. We've noticed that there's some changes to the calendar. So maybe you should go through a little bit of the challenges and the changes that have been made by the board and based on what the decisions were made and how they were made.
Well, you know, I will tell you the truth. It was one of the hardest decisions in my life because, you know, our duty is general to create a space for the playing, for the games, for our athletes, for the players. And now we face the situation that we have to cancel this. It wasn't easy, but like I said in the beginning, we canceled the club competitions. We just kept alive the European Championship, which were European Championships, which were predicted as a qualifier for next year. But when WBSC decided that almost all World Cups of 2021 are postponed to the 2022 or cancelled and postponed to 2023. So we finally moved the European Championships adults to 2021 too. So that's basically what we made the changes. We just kept life under 15, and that's some special reason why, because that is the one of the competition when the players are almost first time word on national jersey, and if no any qualifying, so if anyone can go there, so that's the open chance to play internationally at least one tournament this year.
Right. So as I understand it, then, so we have our women's European Championships and the men's European Championships will already be doing it for next year, and they will be for qualifiers also. That's the whole concept.
Yes, sorry. Yes, of course. The men's will be because this men's World Cup is postponed to 2022. So next European Championship men's 2021 is qualifier for the men's World Cup. Women's European Championship is qualifier for the World Games in Birmingham, Alabama, which is also postponed for 2022. So whole world calendar is almost a year later.
Right. So those changes of the World Cups, there was one question that somebody did ask out there, was the whole concept of most of the teams that are now for the World Games. There's going to be the World Games instead of the World Championships, and the whole story behind that. Can you give a little bit of a background and what's going to happen at the World Games? As we understand, there's already teams that have been already named except for the European African continent.
It was pretty hard discussion on that, by the way, because that one item is true that it's not ideal to have the really big gap between the World Cups, because previous World Cup we played in 2018, and next one will be 2023. It's not ideal to have the 5 years gap. So it was some idea to name World Games or to use the World Games as a World Cup also. Definitely, we are happy that we are back in the World Games with the top teams. But we have there only 8 teams, and that's the little problem with the numbers. So, well, and also that Africa is not there, so it's not based on the whole concept of the World Cups. The whole concept is that everyone can be part of course, through the qualifying, because now it's no any qualifying from Africa, so not easy to make it. And also other two things, World Games has own TV rights and marketing rights, and we will lose it. And Women's World Cup is definitely our pinnacle event of the women. So that's is the couple of questions, but otherwise we are happy there, and we will play for one place there.
And the next World Games after, and the World Championships after the World Games will be in
2023. Yes.
Right. Perfect. There was, I think we have a question from the people outside of the out of tonight, and one of the questions was, will the groups for the 2021 Women's European Championship be the same, or will there be a new draw?
Good question. I don't know if the people who's requesting that are happy or not with the current situation of the draw. Frankly, this announcement was done just last weekend, because WBSC announced this changes May 1st. So it's very fresh new. So we wanted to make the announcement to National Federation immediately after the WBSC announcement, to give them chance to make their own competitions schedule for this year. So we didn't discuss, and definitely we will discuss on the board quite soon when we go through details, because true is that this event is postponed. It's not cancelled like, for example, Cups, but it's postponed. So that's we will be discussing about it with our technical staff, and afterwards of the by the board, of course. So it's not decided yet.
So it hasn't been decided yet. Whoever asked that question out there today, that the groups, we're not sure if they're going to stay the same or we're going to make changes. We'll have to see how that works out. And anything about the month that it'll be played in, I understand there was some sort of there's a non-decision yet when it's going to be played.
Yeah. Well. We have, of course, I'm in touch with Andrea Marcon, president of Italia's Softball Baseball Federation. So we had the concept for this year, as the European Championship was scheduled prior to Olympic Games, to have some advertisement here in Europe for that, and to be preparation for that. But because of situation with the virus and not so clear prediction of also for the next year, so the most probably this event will be played after the Olympic Games. It means sometimes maybe in September, but that's right now in the discussion between the Softball Europe and Italian Federation.
Okay, so staying on the championships, I'm just going to get a little more because some of these questions came in from some people around there. There was another question about what's going to happen with the under-18 European Championships next year. Just a little bit of the background with that, and we also understand that there will be an under-23. We just received from the WBSC notification of Argentina and Paraná to have the under-23 World Cup in October 2020. What's going to 2021, I believe, right? And what's going to happen? How are we going to deal with those two issues?
Well, discussing about a period of Women's European Championship was also because the under-18 is played already in July, the first week in July. So it means this event will be definitely like it's scheduled, no any changes. The reason is that this is qualifier for under-18 World Cup, Women's World Cup 2022. And as as our duty or as our concept, we are trying to make all European Championship as a qualifier for the World Cups. Slightly different is under 23 because we don't have European champion in this situation, but we will call qualifier next year based on number of the teams, and most probably we will edit this event to the existing men's competition because we have next year already two men's competitions. I mean, adult and under 18, under 16, and most probably we will add it to the existing event because that's when this year is almost nothing on the European calendar. I'm seeing that next year will be almost the storm of the European competitions. So that will be very tough schedule, you know.
Right. That'll be really tough, and hopefully everybody will be able to send all their national teams because you know how difficult it is
Yeah.
to send a national team. You might have to give up on something, because of the financial issues. Just moving on, one more thing. Just reminding everybody here that you were also a coach for many years in the Czech Republic. You started coaching, I understand, in 1987. You were in the top division in 1992. 3 times the national championships and the title of the European Champions League in 2013 also. Just want people to understand that as being the executive of the ESF, you also have the coaching experience for coaching softball through those many years that you've been in the Czech Republic and developing the sport there. Okay, so moving on, Gabo, we have another question. We're going into another topic, but I want to remember everybody, the killer question prediction. Will the Tokyo Olympics take place in 2021? Remember, at the end of the interview today, I want to see a lot of answers out there. I want to see what people are saying. And Gabo will give us an idea what he thinks is really going to happen. We're back now to the popularity of softball in Europe. We've been progressing really nicely in Europe for the past few years before this virus, and it was growing, and we were actually, I think we were growing in our tournaments. You can give us a little bit of background on that. How was the situation? And then we'll discuss a little bit about what the progress is and the milestones of the progress was. And then we'll just have to touch on what do you think is going to happen now after we've been hit with the coronavirus?
Well, Softball Europe, or European Softball Federation, in the past, this organization was established in 1976, and the first European Championship was the first event in 1979. So we have right now almost 40 years of the softball in Europe. I mean, organized internationally. But when your question was about the last years, I would say that the last decade was there are two really milestone and two really big decisions which brought up the event, the real games inside the community, and we built up our community strongly. I mean, when we decided 2011 that every single game of the European events, doesn't matter of club level or European national level, every single game will be lively play-by-play. So it means that was the first step when we brought up the events directly to home to each players. And the second very important decision was establishing of the position of the media and marketing communication or communicating director. The Helena was since beginning. She ran this position, and she did tremendous job with the publicity of our sport, and we really dramatically increased. We established the live streaming of the major events, major games. So that is also another step when we did a really good job for the knowledge of our sport, because our duty is to do the softball and also the baseball well known in every single corner in our continent. So that's the task. That is the tool what we did in the past year.
Right. Right. So, okay. So, like you said, we were progressing really nicely. We are moving forward. A lot of things have changed. Just really quick, there was the question that we always are thinking. So, if those are that was the progress that we were doing for many years and trying to push forward the development and everything, as you explained. Um, what do you think now, Corona situation, and how is it? The effect of the. Do you think we'll be able to continue? What do you think is going to happen now? Do you think there's going to be a little bit of a pushback, or are we going to be able to move forward starting from right as soon as we can if everybody gets back on the field? What do you think?
Well, good question. I will tell you what I thought from the history. When European Championship was established first in 1979. The big movement happened in the beginning of 90s. I think that two reasons, because that's it was destroyed, dividing to Europe into two blocks. Eastern blocks was destroyed, and it was establishing of European Union when the traveling was much much better, and we established on that time portfolio of all events, and it was very important for the for national federation. They could choose since you still to adults. And when we put there also the publication and announcements, now what I felt is the time to make the really top event more professional. I mean, the more also the money table. I mean the biggest one, like European Championship and Men's European Championship, and because our events already became quite known in the world, not only in Europe. Because, for example, the project of Super Cup Man, when we established in 2012, I guess, this is already as number two in the calendar of the world clubs, and the many players, many from all the world is coming to Europe to play this event. So that is the time to make it. The question mark, how it will happen after the coronavirus. Frankly, I don't have the crystal ball, to know what will happen. I'm a little bit afraid that we'll be a little bit down because the crisis will be probably stronger than we expected in the beginning. But we will do maximum to make our task to have our sport the well known in our single corner in our continent. That's what we do.
Right. I have a question from the people outside there. One from a person by the name of Colin Lavery. I don't know if you know Colin.
Of course.
Uh, I think I can say who doesn't. So there you go, Colin. This is for you. What's the roadmap for the slow pitch in 2021? Will the championships and cups dates, will they be confirmed soon?
Well, okay, good question. So that is the slow pitch. We secured the slow pitch cup because how we changed the periodicity from 1 year to 2 year cycle. We had a chance to postpone this event. Super Cup Quad slow pitch from 2020 to 2021. So all teams which were entered to this tournament have the rights to play the next year. That's number one. Number two, we will run the slow pitch European Championship, and I can tell you that the European Championship we already agreed with Colorno, Parma, and they will do it at the same time like this year. It means middle of the June. And the co-ed slow pitch cup will be in the regular time, in beginning of August, like our regulation in Sofia, because we offered to each hosts which were affected by coronavirus this year and they couldn't host this event. We offered to them to host this event next year, as a thanks to them for their commitment with us for this year. And they were happy. So that situation of the calendar for next year is already clear. And one thing more about the slow pitch, we are really hard working with Mike Jennings to push WBSC to establish the World Cup in slow pitch. I do hope that finally can be in the end of the 2021. That's our task to make it. So that's next European Championship is qualified for.
Great. That sounds pretty good. I hope that was an answer for you, Colin, over there. Just a little bit of input here. When we mentioned that you got the medal at the Champions League in 2013, you received a thumbs up from I think, probably one of your players, Martina Lackner. She wrote in there, thank you very much, with her medal, as you can see on the thing. So that was really nice of her to send that over. Remember, I'm just reminding everybody, send in some questions. I'm sitting here, I can see them. They're popping up on my screen as they come in. We've got people from all over the world, Sweden. We even have Australia. You have somebody from Australia who's saying hello. Mark William Armstrong from Australia, Gaba. He says hello to you too.
Thank you. Hello.
So, there you go. There he is from Sydney, Australia. So we're trying to get it as much as around there, everything. So remember, don't forget that question. That prediction question is, will the Olympics happen? I've been getting some answers on the side screen here, and I'm able to see some of the answers already and keep you in suspense. Is there going to be Olympics or not? Like as if we're really going to decide. Let's move on to the next section there, Gaba. WBSC Europe and the cooperation with Baseball Europe. What is the current situation with WBSC Europe and how is the cooperation going?
Well, current situation is quite clear. We had a Vilnius Congress and we finally approved our WBSC Europe constitution, including the Code of Divisions. So this our vision is that we established the strong body as umbrella as WBSC Europe, and also the strong wings, softball Europe and baseball Europe, which is quite important for the development, because main task of each continent is development, definitely. So that's for that softball group and baseball group is very important to make to run the tournament and open development. So that's it. Of course, that's we faced some situations, some intervention from outside, but I really would like to thank the all national federations that they finally approved this. Cooperation is pretty good. Of course, now is the situation slightly close, like everything in the society, but it's much different. I will tell you one thing. We met first time 2011, I guess, 2011, when we started discussion about cooperation and possible marriage. On that situation, I was so skeptical on that, because that's the task of the softball group and baseball group was really different. On the way of the running of the body was totally different. Now it's much closer, and we have to respect the situation in Europe, that majority of the federations are joint, which is, by the way, totally different in the whole world, because that's in America or Asia is more or less independent. So we are following the situation in Europe, and I do hope that stronger federations like WBS Europe will bring the fruits.
Right. So like you said, WBSC Europe has been established. There's a constitution, statutes as we call them, plus the Code of Divisions, and there's probably going to be a lot more. I understand also there was a working plan that was set up, and a whole structure has been set up so that we can work together. How's your cooperation with the ESC President, Didier Semenet? Hopefully somebody from France is listening in on this, and I've noticed both of you working in the board meetings. I think it's very important that you give a little bit of your point of view. How is it going, that cooperation with the ESC president along with you as co-presidents, and soon changing that constitution where there will be a president and vice president?
Well, when we became the presidents, in 2017. Didier came to me and he said that it would be a really good time to make WBSC Europe quite soon, because it will be good symbol of unity for the candidature of Paris 2024. Even this task didn't happen. Unfortunately, we are not part of 2024, but we finally realized that. And what was really key thing, we divided our role. So I'm more or less working in the internal things like the structuring and running the meetings and to make the balance between all those things inside. And Didier is more or less for the let me say Minister of Foreign Affairs. I have to say that. So communication, WBSC, and stuff like that. So that's and we are working like that, and it's working. No, I don't have any problem with that.
Right. So, like you said, great cooperation moving forward. Um, I understand that we also have the Super Six and we have our Baseball Five that has been involved with as major parts of the WBSC Europe projects, the joint projects. How do you see the Baseball Five moving forward? And you can also mention how you were skeptical about those things too. Don't we can put it all out there?
Well, Baseball 5 is a pretty idle tool to make our sport in the parts of the world which is not idle for the softball or baseball. I mean the major sport, because I'm still feeling that major sports is softball and baseball. I mean that the baseball 5 is good for some as a part of urban games, fitting some places, squares, malls, or hypermarkets inside door. So it's a perfect time for that. So perfect tool for that to bring the publicity to our sports. That's on that situation. That's just my feeling. How's the situation with the baseball 5? Well, I'm seeing that the way is also to use this discipline as a part of the international games, which I don't think that is the really right way. But because we have to really protect our sports, I mean softball and baseball mainly. But I said it's good tool for the special places like squares, urbans, and stuff like that. Um, So that's like it is. Super Six, we did very successful the first year in the Netherlands. It was 2018. It was very good. The top six softball teams and top six baseball team played a really good level tournament, very very high level, and also they played in one stadium in one place. So I felt that national teams, maybe from Czech, was supposed to get there, or Netherlands, or Italy. They finally met each other in the one place, and it was really good on that. So it's a great way for the way of building of the community, because we are a community sport. So that's I really like this event, and like I said, it's also we are looking for the monitoring events. That's one of this, and next event will be 2022, because that's like I said, the calendar is very full. So that's most probably the cycle will be a 4-year cycle, and I do believe that will be at least similar atmosphere. But I do hope that better.
Right. So, okay, just one little extra point in there. So I thought maybe, once in a while I'm the one who always try to remind you of a few things. The Youth Olympic Games. Baseball 5 has made it into the Youth Olympic Games, which is really, really something, because if I don't know if people out there know, but the basketball, they have their 3-on-3 that was in the Youth Olympic Games and later became part of the Olympics even. What do you think? Youth Olympic Games, Baseball 5, do you think there will be a chance in the future that alongside softball and baseball, there will also be a Baseball 5 tournament in the Olympics? There's a question for you.
Well, very good comparison with the basketball, by the way, because that's I'm when, for example, the WBS Europe was in the process of establishing. I met a couple of times management of the FIBA Europe, how to make it that, and also we touched the situation about 3+3. Well, in general, it's great that any kind of the softball baseball event is part of the Olympic movement. Either Olympic Games, either World Games, either Youth Olympic Games. It's fine. It's really good to be there. Uh, so that's a general thing. But like I said, our major sports are softball and baseball, and I can understand. I will be very happy when all three, I mean softball, baseball, and final baseball five, will be part of the Olympics or part of this process. I don't think that will be ideal that just only one, I mean, for example, baseball five will be part of, and our major sport not. It is not a good outcome. But that's the sport. We will see what happens.
Okay, right. Thanks a lot for that answer. Just a few things outside from the people that have been joining us. Just so you know, Tony Foti, the coach of the Greek national team, he's online.
Canadian, I know.
Tony's out there. Also, just some others. Gabriela Hardinger, one of our TCs, she's back on there also. We do have a question from Daniel Gonzalez, who said recently the ISC started to publish material on YouTube to train fast pitch pitchers from scratch. He was asking, does the European Federation consider to start a similar project and create material so it's available to everyone? This was a question from Venezuela Softball Club in Sweden. So, I know we always deal with these things with development, and I'm doing the development in Europe, but I think you can give an answer saying how we are trying to develop our communications. We have another question about communications and materials online, the ESCA and everything. So,
okay. So one one part is that's to use the online system for the some web information and web seminar, which is very popular right now, and most probably those kinds of seminars or lectures or exercise will stay for longer when the coronavirus will be over, which is good. We already did in the past some trial with some pitching in the men's here in Europe as a testing. I mean, with 1 feet on the rubber and only, but was in the beginning of this century. We did it as a trial for on that time ISF, now WBSC, and finally it was approved to the rule of ISF, currently WBSC. So I think that we have to really consider and take the things which is coming from the real sports to try that and implement if it's the wallet for majority of our sport for our development. We can implement it. It's I am very open to that.
Right. Okay. We have another question from a person that you know, Anthony Beaumont from.
Yeah. Hello.
He asked, is there any Super 6 men's softball coming up? Is there going to be something about men's Super 6? Because we have the women's and we have the baseball Super 6. Are you ever thinking about doing a Super 6 for the men's?
The main concept of Super 6 was to make us Olympic Games. It means top 6 teams from the Olympic sports. I mean the baseball and baseball male and softball women. It's the part of. So that's frankly, we didn't think to implement that the men's fast pitch, because on that situation we would accept also the women's baseball. And the women's baseball is almost nothing here in Europe. I know just about the 2 countries who's doing that, maybe 3. So it's not ideal to show that. The men's fast pitch here in Europe is really good. I know that. So that's why we established the Super Cup, which is, from my perspective, much more attractive for the men's players than Super 6 would be.
Right. Okay, I hope that was a good answer from that. Tony Foti did ask a question. He asked, what do you think about the effect of the COVID-19 on the fundraising? What it will be helping? There are a lot of teams out there that are with their funds and everything, the effect of that COVID. I'm going back to the Corona situation here in these questions, but what do you think? I
You
think
mean about the funding, general funding?
yes. He says, if so, is it wise to expand, adding more events? He's asking, since it's going to be difficult to do the fundraising, is it a good idea to expand in all the events that we're doing?
Well, that's it's. I would say two things to this. Firstly, we are doing the sport because we would like to compete and we would like to play internationally. We would like to play internationally, to be proud of our national jersey, to play against the other teams. That's the principle of the sports. I fully understand the funding. True is that there's some crisis, the world crisis will come. It's definitely true, and also I already registered some information that the budgeting will be cut, and the municipality and governments will cut preferably culture, sport, and investment. What we did with our NOC, and it's not only our NOC, I mean National Olympic Committee in Czech, but also I think there is 10 national Olympic committees here in Europe. We are making really investigation, and we are trying to prepare. We are trying to make the concept that only health generation is ready to kill the virus like this. Only health generation is able to secure the life and also the future expenses. I mean, from the hospitals and stuff like that, and the first fruits has come because, for example, some countries, like for example Sweden, they already announced that they will spend extra 100 million euros for the sport for this event. And also in the Czech Republic they are doing it. Also in Switzerland they are doing this. Also in Netherlands they understood already that they have to support the sport more and not cut them. Well, I don't know how it will happen in the whole world, of course, but I can understand that sometimes, and some teams and some national federation will be thinking to cut some of the programs, even when the national program next year will be quite heavy. But we are here to make the space, to create a space for athletes. That's our duty, and we are doing this.
All right, great. So just a few remarks here that we received. Somebody did ask in there, and I'm not going to say his name again because it'll make him feel like he's really important. He did ask about the environment of Baseball 5. It's for schools and things like that. So as you mentioned before, the Baseball 5 part is also good for the schools and also part for the developing of it. I know there are some countries that are using it to sort of develop that sort of thing for the for their baseball and for their softball. So just one of the comments that came up. We have another comment here, and I think Ben Tempas has been watching us. And Ben, he asked a question about the scheduling back to normal after 2021. So European Championships in 2022, 2023. Is the schedule going to be changed, or is it going to be, are we going to repeat, or how's that going to work?
I know that the scheduling last 3 years, over the last year, so it's really heavy topic because we moved some events from 1 year to next year. You know that our main concept is that our European Championships will have 2-year cycle, and it's always qualifying, or more or less always qualifying for the World Cups. If the calendar of the World Cups is changed or will be changed, we have to reflect these changes. So for now, for the main situation, we have World Cup 2022 and next time 2024. It means that European Championship as a qualifier for that will be 2021 and 2023. We already agreed with Denmark that they will host the European Championship men 1 year later. So, but our main concept is to do appropriate European Championship as a qualifier 1 year prior to the World Cup. That's the that's the basic thing.
Right. Okay. So let's we can move on a little bit here. So touching on all those bases, there was somebody asked the question: is there any chance for the World Softball event similar to Surrey, Canada, 2016, coming back again, where we had over 30 countries? Do you see any future thing happening like that?
Well, it's a hard question because that I didn't like so much to have the open World Cup like was in the Surrey. I don't think that the idle format to have the open format. Definitely not. Because the level, the difference between the teams are quite big. But from other hand, when I'm looking of the mainstream of the organizing of the World Cups of team sports, which is going to extend the number of the teams to participating on the final tournament since 16 to 24 or since 24 to 32. I'm talking about a basketball or volleyball or handball. I'm not talking about soccer. The soccer is totally different chapter. So I don't compare anything with the soccer because it's really here in Europe is more or less a religion than the sport. So I'm comparing with the team sport like I mentioned, and we are going right now in the opposite way. By the opposite way, we are decreasing the number of the teams, which is not ideal. So I wasn't so happy when the last WBSC Congress decreased the number of the teams on under 18 since 16 to 12, the men since 16 to 12, under 15 since 12 to 8. This way is not ideal because that I fully understand. I fully understood that the extended number of the teams, the other federations are using this penalty event as a marketing tool to the more places over the whole of the world as a global marketing project and global marketing tool, and that's our pinnacle even are. I mean mainly adults events. So I don't think that we will have the Surrey like we had. I don't think that was ideal, by the way. But I do hope that our adults events will be able to 16 and in the not near future, but future 24.
Okay. So moving on to one of our last section here for tonight, the WBSC umbrella. It's an interesting subject now. Is how is it going to be with the WBC? What are the pros and cons being under the one international federation?
Well, we have to look over the whole story about it. We have to go back to 2012 when the both congresses, I mean ISF and IBOP, decided to be merged because of one target to be back on Olympic Games. But Olympic Games already moved. It's the whole process in Olympic Games is right now very very unpredictable. But I mean, how many sports will be there? That's the Agenda 2020 is really something and challenging for the international federations. So this target was already out. But true is that one good thing is to have strong organization. And WBC or definitely is going to be as a strong federation. I think that that's to have the bigger number of the at least the bigger number of the events and good events and real global sports with both strong genders like baseball and softball. Two sports inside. That's really strong. I think. But the strength of the organization is also it depends also how strong is the regional confederations. So I do believe, I strongly do believe that finally the WBSC will establish the way of cooperation with the regional confederation, just to give them the task, what guidelines, and leave them to make those targets, as the sources in every region confederation are different, of course, because every regional confederation needs something different. For example, Oceania, they have to travel quite a lot. Here in Europe, we need more let me say higher level events here to increase the top. Also, that's there's so many different things, and I think that the people inside the region confederation, they know very well what is necessary to do the best for the each regions. So I mean that I do hope that, even I can understand that they would like us. That's the normal feature of the top body. They would like to control everything, but we know that I think that we finally find a way how to make our working style, and I think that next 4 or 5 years there will be time to make it.
Right. We have a question from Israel. Nuku, will the Super Cup of the Open be open to everyone next season due to this season's cancellation? We're talking about the men's Super Cup, of course.
My answer is very easy. Yes, will be open for any new entries. Yes, all cups except of slow pitch cup. Yeah.
Right. Just so that we'll get some there. There's a technical question here from Lawrence Allen, asking us, has there been talks in the WBSC meetings about coaches at World Series playoffs to get to use video references? It's a question I'm not sure you're going to be able to answer, but you know what? Trying to give a little bit of the stage to a lot of the people that are out there that are important to us who do softball around Europe.
No, I do understand that the techniques will be more and more involved in every kind of the sports. That's definitely true. Frankly, I don't see the really near future that that our community will use that. And also, one of the really bad thing, what I did understand over the coronavirus, that the people, I'm really afraid, and I do hope that the sport will be the bridge to go out of that, because the people are closing the inside, that they don't want to meet each other, and I don't want to lose this personal relations, because that's very important for building of community, and that's what our really strength of Softball Europe, that we did build this community as this. So definitely techniques will be coming, but I think that we have slight time for.
Right. Okay, so we have another question here from Benten Paz. With all the different federations, what's your opinion on the double nationalities? There's a question for you, Gaba.
I know. Well, we did, as you know, that we faced the situation mainly last year when the Olympic qualifier was here in Europe, and some national federations simply brought Americans with the double passports. We faced the questions, what do we do with that? My first answer was, hey guys, we have to use the Olympic Charter Article 42, I guess. Only passport can be proof of nationality, and nothing about double passports there, except of 3 years gap between the place between the representing the other country. But true is that this will more and more requests to do. So we established the working group for discussing about this issue, and we have right now the time to do. Frankly, my personal opinion, I don't think that is the really bad to use those players, because imports increase the level of our sport, and those players can bring also the other players with them and to bring it up. So that's also good, and have to be balanced, of course. It's not that all national team will be only for Americans, how we are, but have to be balanced, and I think that is up to smart brain of the national federations. But of course, I fully understand when we have just only one place in Olympic Games, so that's some teams will use that.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I guess you're right on that subject. That's a subject that we've created an advisory group right now that has been moving forward,
Yeah.
and they're trying to get some sort of balance, as you said, into this. If there are some people that believe if you have a passport, you have a passport. The name of the game, and a lot of people, but a lot of federations, Europeans, world federations have different views on everything. Great. So right now, I'd like to say, I'm reminding everybody, we're going to hit that killer question right now. But before I get to that killer question or prediction, like I said, we've had already a lot of people have answered what they think, if we're going to have it or not. Gaba, there is one question here that a lot of people have been asking. They're asking, please tell us why you always wear those colorful Hawaiian shirts.
Why not? By the way, why not?
Where did it come from? How did it happen?
Well,
where was your first Hawaiian shirt?
It's a long time, by the way. It's really a long time. True is that my wife is border Indian, and she's interesting about wearing, and the special wearing of the some notions. So maybe I was also inspired by that, and the word is very colorful. Why don't we word like that? So that's nothing special. I just like that. I just like to have the colors like that's like that. Nothing special.
You're the colorful guy. One other thing popped up in here from Anthony Cross from France. He just mentioned that what's the state around Europe. We did mention a lot of it about what's happening around Europe. France has canceled it. Other federations, you gave a little bit. We can end it right now with a lot. I have the list actually in front of me of what we've been talking about lately, but sure, we can. You can mention a few of them. What you know?
You mean how the situation?
Yeah, most of the federations that have canceled, that are not going to do it, or are there most that are going to be doing it? I have some stats here for you if you want me to say it a little, but
well, I know that that we are monitoring almost every week the situation in the national federations, how it's going. That I know that the very bad situation in the France and Spain. France, they said that they will play more or less only the regional things, regional tournaments and events, and most probably the national competitions in September or nothing. The Spain didn't start to discuss about it right now. They have the real trouble on that. The situation. I know Belgium is very big trouble also. In Italy, they have the first date June 14, same like Netherlands. As far as I know, I do hope that will be happen because this is the dream of the players in Italy. But I really believe that they will start finally, if not June, maybe in July. The much better is in the North countries or middle of the Europe. I know that Czech baseball is starting already last week of May. Czech softball is starting the first week of June. The first week of June starting also most probably Denmark and Sweden. So I really do hope that finally the people will go out and start to play. Even I'm afraid that sometimes will be the problem to get the people on the field because the parents will be afraid to send the players to the field, and when they send it out, they maybe will be afraid to send it to different cities. But I really would like to push, and I do, the national federations to try to make it, because the sport is the bridge between the people, and we need the bridges now. We really need the bridges because I am really afraid that the people is closing to each other. So that is the one of the big value of the sport. Even doesn't matter who finally win in this year. But I think that winners will be all people who finally will be on the fields. That's just my wish.
Really great. Interesting. Okay, Gaba, the killer question prediction. What do you think, really? You're in the NOC, by the way, you're on the executive of the NOC in the Czech Republic. The killer question for today or prediction: will the Tokyo Olympics take place in 2021?
True is that I'm the member of the executive, and true is that when the IOC announced that Olympic Games will be postponed 1 year later, just 4 days before, I had a really close talk with the RNOC president, which is, by the way, the director of marketing company for the marketing commission of the IOC. And he said it's not possible to make it because too many things around it and billions dollars around, and everything is already done. And I am not able to think that that can happen. And 3 4 days after, Olympic games were postponed. So he was really shocked on that. So any prediction here is quite difficult. But because of all the things, I do believe that Olympic Games will be played in Tokyo 2021. No any other options, no any movement to 2022. Only option is to play the 2021. And there's so many business around that, but really huge ones. So many dreams of athletes, and also I do believe that we will be already over the coronavirus because I think that when I read the whole really serious researchers, this virus coming from laboratories of Wuhan, and those laboratories virus doesn't have so much vitality. That's I do believe that finally we will be over that. So my prediction, yes, we will be in Tokyo 2021. Otherwise, it will be really big shock for whole sports for the more years.
So just to let you know, some of the comments that we've had, not one has said that it's going to happen. They all believe it's not going to happen. We can probably tell you now that if it doesn't happen in 2021, they will be canceled.
Yes.
There will be no Olympics. That will be a cancellation. There will be no more postponements. That will be a cancellation. In 2024, we'll move to Paris, and then we will also have the LA Olympics in 2028, unless something else happens through the whole thing. Gaba, I'd like to say thank you very much for being with us tonight. I'd also like really quick to thank our staff, Elda Gilardi, Petra Chismich, Tom Gavish has been working our screens here, Craig Monfidis from the ESCA plans and everything. What we do want to ask everybody, Gaba, right here, and I think both of us should tell everybody, please, we've had pretty much good viewing for now. We want to get up to viewing around the world. We want people to ask questions. We want people to get involved. We are going to continue this, hopefully on a twice-a-week basis. We will be doing, our next one will be on Saturday at 8 o'clock Central European time. It gives time for both sides of the oceans to help out, to listen with Erica Piancastelli, a national team player who will be playing in the Olympics if they happen. And she'll be online, and we'll be discussing with her and talking to her about her experiences and everything else like that. So, Gaba, from the European, you've had a lot of people writing here. Thank you, Gaba, for all you've done for European softball, by the way. I'm not going to rub you too much into it so you don't feel that good when you leave. But it's all been written on my side screen here. And so just saying, right now, thank you, Gaba, for being with us. Last word to everybody.
Thank you for everybody who's doing our sports. I really appreciate it that I can work for that, because that's, I'm working for you. For me, it's the very, very important that you like that, and you are doing that. You are playing the sport, and I do hope that we will be seeing very soon on the fields. I wish to all of you to be there. Thank you, and bye for now. Bye.
Thank you, Gaba. Thank you, everybody. And please be with us on Saturday at 8 o'clock. We'll be sending out the notification. Please send in your questions ahead of time see what, you can ask her anything you like. It'll be really great if you do it. And if you have any other suggestions that you think we should do here, if we should do it differently, please don't hesitate to send me an email. Next time we'll put it up on my screen, but it is abaron@wbsceurope.org. Okay, everybody. See you next on Saturday. Thank you very much.